Tell me why every single time I see that card, I want to go, I-oh, I-oh.
Welcome to Tier 1 Jank. I am Marcus, aka Jank, and today we're going to be bringing you a deck tech along with some gameplay for a deck I like to call Dwarves and Dragons. We're also going to be helped out by Dumby Nation. Say hello, Dumby.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Dumby Nation. I stream on Twitch. I stream a variety of games, such as Magic the Gathering, Escape from Tarkov, or FPS games.
Pretty much all our creatures in this deck are either dwarves or dragons. The only one that is not is the Dragonkin Berserker, and he actually pumps out dragons. He is a 2/2 2-drop first strike. Boast abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate for each dragon you control, and his boast ability is 4 colorless and a red. Create a 5/5 dragon creature token with flying. I mean, just being a 2-drop 2/2 first strike is pretty good in itself, and then later in the game he's going to start pumping out dragons. Alright, so besides him, all of our creatures are either dwarves or dragons. We do also have 3 copies of Gilded Assault card. Now this is a vehicle. It's a 5/1 trample, costs 2 red and a colorless, cruise for 2, and you can sacrifice 2 treasures to return it from your graveyard to your hand. Not going to be doing that all that often, but it is something that you can do if you need it. The card goes really good with the deck because of Magda. So it has a crew cost of 2, and she says whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, you get a treasure. You have to tap it to crew the cart. So you play a cart, next turn drop down Magda, tap her to crew it, get a treasure. Or if you have multiple dwarves out that you want to tap, you can tap them all and get as many treasures as you have dwarves. You also have 4 copies of Fearless Liberator. It is a 2/1 2-drop, costs 1 red, 1 colorless, and it has a boast ability that costs 3, and it creates a 2/1 Dwarf Berserker creature token. So a lot of times we're going to be dropping this down turn 2, and then if we don't have Magda turn 3, we'll just be attacking with it and making a token. And then we also have 2 copies of Torbran. I believe you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
Costs 3 red and a colorless.
That's my dwarf right there.
He's a 2/4, and if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent that an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. So everything we have is going to hit a lot harder.
Shock for 4, OP.
Seems pretty good.
Let me just say, all of the tokens wind up being initially a 4/1 creature.
And if we have Magda out, they'll all get an extra +1.
Right, they all get an extra +1. And then if you had, like, with Roil Eruption, instead of it doing 3, it'll do 5. Or instead, if you go to kick it, it'll wind up doing 7.
Yeah.
Initially, I believe. And then your Gilded cart just becomes a kind of like a tank.
So our one other source of dwarves in the deck is Dwarven Reinforcements. It is one of the new cards with Foretell. It is a sorcery that costs 3 colorless and 1 red, and you create 2/1 red Dwarf Berserker creature tokens.
So can you explain what Foretell is? Like how do you initiate Foretell?
Okay, so as you can see on the screen here, Foretell, during your turn, you may pay 2 colorless and exile the card from your hand face down, and then you can cast it on a later turn for its Foretell cost. So anytime during your turn, at instant speed, you can pay 2 colorless mana, and it will exile the card face down. You can't play it for the rest of that turn, but any turn after that, you can play it for its Foretell cost, which in this case is 1 red and 1 colorless. Now, you can only play it at the spell's original speed, so since it's a sorcery, we'll only be able to play it when we could play a sorcery.
That was going to be my next question. Now, so initially you're paying for the total cost of the card, but you're just doing it separate turn?
Not always. A lot of times that is the case, so it'll add up to 4 here, but in some cases the Foretell cost will be different. Our other dwarves in the deck come from 2 copies of Dwarven Mine. If it enters the battlefield when you have 3 or more mountains, it'll make a 1/1 red dwarf creature, and of course if Magda's out, it's a 2/1. Goldspan Dragon. This is one of my new favorite cards from Kaldheim. This is a 5-drop, 4/4 flying haste. Whenever it attacks or becomes a target of a spell, you create a treasure token. And treasures you control have tap, sacrifice this artifact, add 2 mana of any one color. So all your treasures add 2 mana, which is really helpful for the Volcanic Geyser. If we have a bunch of treasures out, we're going to win the game quicker.
Wait, it says tap for 2 mana?
While you have Goldspan Dragon out, each treasure you control has sacrificed this artifact to add 2 mana.
That is disgusting. That is absolutely amazing.
So if we have 3 treasures, we have 6 extra mana.
Like, all you need is a Goldspan Dragon on the board, and you just, like, swarm the board if you truly need it.
And remember, he has haste, and when he attacks, he's making a treasure. So he's usually making a treasure the turn he comes out. Whether he's attacking or he's getting targeted by a spell that your opponent's going to take him out with, he's going to leave you a treasure. Our other dragon in the deck is Terror of the Peaks. He is a 5-drop, 5/4, flying of course, and spells your opponent's cast that target him cost an additional 3 life to cast. Also,
He is terror.
Also, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target.
Wait, did you say when you attack me with a Fearless Liberator and then boast it, it's going to do 2 damage to my creature I can't block, and then it does another 2 damage?
And if we have Torbran out, it's going to do an extra 2 damage.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, our dragon tokens are going to do 5 damage for their base. And
5 to 7.
remember, if we have Maskwood Nexus out and Magda, everything's going to get +1/+0. And that is as soon as they hit the board, so that counts towards terror. So that's it for our creatures. We'll start up at the top of our spells with Shock. I think most people are familiar with this one. It's a 1-drop red instant that does 2 damage to any target. It's a staple in most red decks. Next up we have Roil Eruption. This is our 2-drop burn spell. It is sorcery speed. It does 3 damage to any target, and if you pay an extra 5 mana, it does 5 instead. Alright, so next up we have Slaying Fire. Some more burn here. 3-drop instant, does 3 damage. If you pay all red mana, it does 4 damage instead.
And then with Torbran, that would make it where it does 6 damage total. So, I mean, that's a 3-drop. That's pretty much going to kill any charge-heavy creature that goes to come out. Especially right now, since with it being, like, the angel meta that's going on right now.
And there's a lot of instances where I like this better than the Roil Eruption because of the instant speed. It does cost 1 more, which is why I have both in the deck. Just sometimes you're going to only be able to use 2 mana, and sometimes we'll have the 3, so I want to have both options. Our last burn spell in the deck is Volcanic Geyser. It is an X spell. You cost 2 red and X. It is an instant, and it does X damage to any target. So if we have this and a bunch of treasures, we might use this to finish off the game or take out a high toughness target that we need to take out.
You know what we call that? The standard Banefire!
Yeah, if only it was Banefire, but unfortunately not.
Could you imagine Banefire with this deck? Oh my god.
If Banefire was in standard, we would be playing that, but unfortunately it's not right now, so Volcanic Geyser is what we have to settle for. Alright, so next up we have Seize the Spoils. It is 1 red and 2 colorless sorcery. As an additional cost, you discard a card, you draw 2 cards, and create a treasure token.
It's a tormenting voice that creates a treasure.
So with this, we can get rid of cards that we aren't able to play. We can get ourselves a little bit of extra ramp. We can draw extra cards, hopefully get our big dragons out quicker, or on the off chance that we need an extra treasure to get the assault card back, we could do that. But it's just really gonna keep our deck rolling when we don't have something else to do and get us some more cards.
So that I see that being a good card too, because that allows you to be able to discard your Gilded Assault card and bring it back to your hand, like during a later.
Yeah, and 9 out of 10 times if I have the assault card in my hand and I'm using this, I'm discarding the assault card. And if I really want it, I can get it back later. Next up, we have Maskwood Nexus.
This card right here.
It is a 4-drop artifact. It says creatures you control are every creature type. This is the same is true for creature spells you control and creatures you own that aren't on the battlefield. You can pay 3, tap it, and create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. So Changeling means that they have every creature type, which means they are going to be both dwarves and dragons, which will count for both Magda to give it +1/+0. It will also count for the Dragonkin Berserker to make his ability cost less. So every creature that we have on the board is gonna be a dragon and make him cost 1 less. And it also counts for things like Torbran. If we are using Magda to sacrifice 5 treasures and look for a dragon card, well, now Torbran is a dragon and we can search him up and say if we're attacking and make a bunch of treasure tokens and all of our dwarves are about to hit, we might just want to bring Torbran out instead of a dragon so they all hit for 2 extra damage, which I believe you've been on the receiving end of.
Yes. That's it's really awesome to see though, because the way it goes off is it's like, all right, so now Dragonkin Berserker, well, you have the next Maskwood Nexus out. It's just like, okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and make one mana dragon. I'm gonna make a 1 mana 5/5 dragon. You have Fearless Liberator on top of it that you get to use that ability just for another 1 mana.
Alright, next up we have 1 copy of Ugin for when we happen to get 8 mana with the help of our treasure tokens, and nobody really expects a mono red deck to be playing Ugin, and it's kind of funny when you get to drop it down and wipe their board.
I was surprised. I'm not surprised.
And we get to 8 mana more often than you'd think with this deck, with the treasure tokens. And if we don't think we're going to be able to play him and we need some fodder for Seize the Spoils, we can always discard him to play that card. For the lands, we have 2 copies of Castle Embereth. It comes into the battlefield tapped unless you control another mountain. It adds a red, or you can pay 2 red and a colorless, tap it, and all your creatures will get +1/+0 to end a turn. So just something to give us that little extra push, especially when we're going wide. And we also have 2 copies of Dwarven Mine. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 other mountains, and when it enters the battlefield untapped, if you have those 3 other mountains, you make a 1/1 red dwarf creature. And remember, with Magda, which hopefully we'll have out by then, it'll be a 2/1.
Tell me why every single time I see that card, I want to go, oh.
It is very reminiscent of the 7 Dwarves. Kind of makes me think of Isengard. Saruman.
Yes, you shall not pass.
No, that's Khazad-dûm. That's
that is wait, Solomon? You mean the one with the where the eye is?
No, Isengard was where the White Tower was with the Saruman, the White Wizard.
Yeah, it does.
Where he was making the Uruk-hai.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. Okay, we also have just 14 plain old mountains. Not really much to say about those.
Ooh.
Nice artwork.
Bob Ross.
And 2 copies of Crawling Barrens. It taps for a colorless, or you can pay 4 colorless, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it, and you can choose to turn it into a creature until end of turn, and it's still a land. So anytime we have this out and we don't want to attack with it, but we have extra mana, we can just go ahead and throw the counters on it, choose not to turn it into a creature. We're doing it like on our opponent's end step, say, if we were holding up mana. Or late in the game, if we needed to finish off the game and our board's been wiped, we can go ahead and swing in with the giant Crawling Barrens, hopefully.
Yeah, I like this deck, man. Let's see it play, man.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you'd like to play the deck, I did leave a list down in the description. Keep in mind it is designed for Arena best of 1, but if you'd like to make a sideboard and take it for a best of 3, feel free. And until next time, opt for greatness.
I